Does it work? Yes. Hi everyone. Back on track, if I may say, after those big themed videos in 2 parts. Women Whiskey, check it out, might be interesting, you might learn something. Or then discover faces, people you don't know maybe, for at least for some. Anyway, we're not completely off theme though, because Antonia Bruce and Jenny Carlson, which are part of the blending team, and of course Antonia is co-directing Adelphi, which is the distillery which owns Ardnamurchan, we're going to talk about today. So for today it is a double review, but in fact there are 3 other glasses on the table because of for comparisons reasons, but there's also a theme between the 2 Ardnamurchans, the 10 years old 10th anniversary edition, and the Paul Launois Release 2024, because even if they have bourbon cask involved, they have also French oak and champagne cask involved in there. Do I have other champagne cask on the table, finishes or full maturation? No. In my collection, no as well. But we're here also to discuss what's Ardnamurchan style when it's not peated, like the case there, and also when it is of a higher ABV than 46, and what profile of other distilleries can it match or become close to, considering it's not naked Ardnamurchan but different Ardnamurchan. But before that, I'm gonna touch on a few things, so bear with me. I'm gonna be very quick because it's not a wine channel, it's a whiskey channel, but very quickly some informations about champagne, because it's not your ordinary wine, remind you. So very quickly, champagne has very tight regulations. Regulations that make it controlled designation of origin, you say in English, and we say appellation d'origine contrôlée in French, even if there's also other types of names, indication protégée, IGP, geographical protected areas. But here it's the maximum, which is AOC in French, and CDO, sorry, in English, control designation of origin, which means, for instance, I'm not going to tell you all, but champagne does exist in its original effervescent wine form since medieval times. It has to be, though, harvested by hand only. Normally it is only made with black grape. It's white wine made of black grape, but there are exceptions, such blanc de noir or blanc de blanc maybe not, but and also that's the exception. I'm not touch on exceptions. If you wonder about champagne rosé, it's by maceration of mix of white or red grapes. What else? It becomes effervescent due to natural fermentation in the bottle by the action of yeast transforming sugar from grapes in alcohol and carbon dioxide, gas carbonique in French. The gas is mixed with wine and you get the foam like this. What else? Yeah, so there's liquor added. Liqueur in French, so there's sugar and yeast added, so that makes a deposit. The bottle is on the top for the first period of resting, not really maturing yet, so the top is down, and there's a deposit there with the sugar and yeast we don't want, so they put that into minus 25 degrees to get a kind of ice cube with that, and then they extract it, and then they put it in another bottle, and then they left to age. Age-wise, what did I wrote? Yeah, it's minimum by regulations, minimum 18 months. If you have a vintage millésime in French, it has to be 3 years minimum. But of course, you can find more older. Very quick, there are 4 regions allowed to be in the Champagne region that are protected, but the 4 regions, big regions, cover in the east of France. They cover 17 different terroirs with different soils, 319 if those numbers are still valid. It's a few years ago. So 319 cru, which is wines, specific wines, result of the grape work on the grape. So it's wine, and usually it's one village, one cru. So cru from that village or that other will bear different name. There are 30,000 hectares in French, that makes it in English or American, I'm not sure, 74,000 and a bit more acres of ground, of soil devoted to that. Very quickly, about grapes, you usually see champagne with Pinot Noir, Pinot Meunier, grape varieties, Pinot Meunier being a muted Pinot Noir, and Chardonnay, of course. And we will see that later on, that Chardonnay, I think, plays a huge role in the Ardnamurcan's profile, those two at least. Sometimes there are other grape varieties that are less known, maybe for minor part or for very specific releases. Arban, Petit Meslier ou Mélier, Pinot Gris Vrai, Fromenteau, or Pinot Blanc Vrai, Blanc Vrai. So that's very specific, very rare. But usually the Pinot Noir, Pinot Meunier, Chardonnay, and the different producers, except when they do specific Blanc de Blanc, which will be 100% Chardonnay, if I'm not mistaken. The others will be a mix of the 3, and depending on how much of each they put, the champagne will have different taste. I did some champagne masterclass a while ago, so I learned a lot at that time. Don't remember all, but there you go. Last but not least, two quick other things. The casks, it's a bit complicated from non-French audience, I apologize, but we don't always say, we don't say cask usually for fût. For French wine we say barrique, or we say other things such as pièce, which is kind of a piece. The piece is 205 liters, and one cuvée usually gathers 2,050 liters. The other type cask that's allowed, bigger casks are not allowed, except of course temporary vatting, wooden big cask, which was called foudre in French, with 1,000 liters and more. Première taille, 500 liters, so you will usually get 205 or 500 liters. Other than that, yeah, if you have bigger casks, you can no longer say on the label it's champagne, but vin mousseux or vin pétillant, sparkling wine. The sugar, some very craft and demanding producers do not add any sugar to it, so they will say it's non dosé, no dosage, 0%, or they will say it's extra brut if there's very little, or brut, little, sec, which is kind of medium, doux, which is more sugar, or demi-sec, which is halfway, let's say. Now, sparkling wine wise, sometimes the producers don't have the right to use the champagne name, because the champagne wants it as for undisclosed distilleries, whiskies, they don't want their brand to be associated with the other spirit label, etc. So they won't disclose which champagne it is. Here it is disclosed for the Ardnamurchan, but they can also use something and say it's in the region of Champagne or close, and it's not Champagne. And for instance, they can use Crémant de Bourgogne, which is or other regions, Crémant du Jura, Crémant d'Alsace, etc. But the Crémant du Bourgogne, if you want to try, you don't know, it's the closest to Champagne, and it's cheaper that you will find, because they have kind of similar grape varieties used, right? I think it's, and taste-wise as well. Okay, I think I've summarized quite some stuff there. Now to talk about champagne cask used for the first time in by whiskey distilleries. I don't have, this is a very difficult information to get. I don't have it, I'm sorry, but I can tell you that in the close to the beginning of our whiskey journey, I've noted that I've tried on my archives, and I think it's the first time I've seen it ever in a show. It was an Aaron, you know, at that time, 2005 release, 3 August 2005. At that time, Aaron, remember, didn't have a lot of aged whiskies. There was no 10 years old yet, if I'm not mistaken, and they wanted to highlight I might be mistaken on that. I haven't double checked. Anyways, I'm not sure there was any I'm not sure about that. I'm sorry, I didn't double check. If you know it, tell me in the comment section. You got me caught in there, because I was looking not for the history of Aaron, but the first Scotch whiskey I ever tried or seen in a catalogue that I tried it. Grand Cru Champagne Finish was the name. It was a cask strength, an OH statement, probably 7 years old, 6, 7, bottled at 58.9, only 307 bottles, so I think it was a single cask. Lots of single casks were released with wine finishes at that time by Aaron. Also because I think they didn't have the best cask probably yet. Also, later on in 2022, I tasted the Glenfiddich 23 years old Grand Cru with bourbon and sherry cask, finished in wine in the Champagne region. So probably it's not Champagne, or they didn't have the right to say it's Champagne. So it's bottled at 40%, contrarily to what I saw on Whiskey Base. Maybe for the US 43, but for Europe it was 40%. Forgot to say, if you want to double check the Aaron Grand Cru Champagne Finish, Whiskey Base number 17690 is the code. Right. Now, I want to do two, I don't want this video to be too long, but I wanted to do very quick, one rambling, one ranting. Rambling about hype and expectations. So, the way this Ardnamurchan 10 years old and Paul Launois Release were received by the whiskey community, which is not a block of people thinking the same thing, right? You have to remember that all the time. Sometimes people don't remember that and consider the things have to be taken for granted. For instance, this brand is hype, it's not interesting, it's too hype, or this one is good but it's too scarce to find, so I'm gonna boycott it, etc. I'm not into that. So yes, there's hype around Ardnamurchan, but Ardnamurchan, kudos to them for maintaining for the AD, which is also on the table, at least 50 euros, 50, 60 maximum. You can find a craft Highlands Scotch single malt on the market, while other brands will charge you for 185 or 100 euros. So, and it's non-chill filtered, non-colored, and minimum 46%. So, I mean, you have to give credit to Ardnamurchan for that. Now that said, I'm on 75 euros here around for the AD10, if I'm not mistaken. 75, 77. 10 years old, 75. I bought it online, and online as well, 85 euros plus shipping for the Paul Launois. Now, and this leads me to the second, to the rant. Problem is that hype expectations. I'm gonna finish that, but yeah, price. I'm gonna get to price after in my rant about local distribution here in France. But expectations, profile-wise, come on, don't have the time to answer to the phone now. Problem is that there's some people that were very disappointed of the 10 years old, not many, but well, others. I know a retailer who considers that the best Ardnamurchan. I don't know, I won't say that myself, but I think I can understand that because it's 10 years old. There's also a hype about getting at 10 years old. But another will tell me that Paul Launois Release is the Whiskey of the Year 2024. And then I forgot something. Just a sec. Right, I hope I won't be cut. I have. Okay, so what's this? It's the awards. So I wanted not to forget this. The awards given to Ardnamurchan in my highlights or Whiskey of the Year video. But before I get to that, yeah. What I mainly wanted to say is that some people are stuck with Ardnamurchan is peated, Ardnamurchan is maritime, every Ardnamurchan has to be like that. No. I mean, for me, a distillery has a house style, which you see in the core range, so here in the AD and on the usual yearly or so cask shrink expressions. And those two, I think, the regular AD and the cask strength have, I agree to have this maritime and peated style, etc. But I mean, the fact that you have a core range, etc., and a house style that everybody can identify more or less if they're whiskey connoisseurs, or at least appreciate for what it is. For me, it doesn't mean you have to do all your releases like that, and you're not allowed to do every once in a while or one expression per year, each year, which is different. And for me, this was a big chance to see that. I mean, the Paul Launois Release is a fantastic release. The 10 years old is very good as well. Now there's argues about the final result of each one. I'm gonna get to that during the tasting, but for me it's a pity to disregard a bottling that has a different recipe, a different style, because you'll never know what you get. It can be very interesting. Still, if you don't have already in mind it is an Ardnamurchan or it doesn't taste like an Ardnamurchan, blah blah blah. Anyway, this for the rambling and a bit of rant. Now for the rant, it's where I'm gonna be quick. It's for the French distribution. I mean, come on, Dugas, please. I don't understand. I talked a lot with Jenny, Antonia, and I mean, I visit the great Salon Club Expert Dugas every year since 2 decades. And I don't understand, while some new distilleries have 5, 6, 7 or more releases on the table, up to 10 sometimes, why one of the most promising from Scotland, new, not so new, being 10 years old, but still, distilleries do not have more trust from the distributor to put on the table more than 3-4 whiskies. I mean, Dugas refused those last years. Well, it's new to France. It's still 2 years or so they are showing Ardnamurchan. I mean, I did interview the ladies, Antonia and Jenny, for the channel. Everybody was enthusiastic. Some good feedback on the stand from people, customers and retailers. I mean, we know the distillery is in huge respect. I have the awards here, I will tell you. But yet, the rum cask finish, the Sauterne cask finish, the Madeira cask finish, the 2024 bottling of the sherry cask release, The blended, okay, it's Adelphi this time, only not Ardnamurchan, but there's a lot of Ardnamurchan in it. Maclean's knows. The first year, I mean, it's 2 years ago, it was on sale. I hesitated because I liked it, but there were so many other things I didn't bought it at once. And the second year, they didn't distribute it at all. It's finished. So, I mean, we're missing a lot of new expressions. Also, the, what else? The Midgi. It was available only in one shop here that had to do circumvolutions to go through the parent shop, which was in UK, Whisky shop, to get the bottle. I mean, it's not normal. And on the other side, on the other hand, they released on the Whisky shop 300 euros. It's a shame. Paris. And the 150 Dugas released a single cask strength sherry, which was nice, but I didn't want to spend that money on that. I would spend that money on something I would consider better, maybe, but not on that. Anyways, Ardnamurchan, yeah, it's so bad that I gave them 6 awards. Favorite Scottish Distillery Single Malt of the Year, honorable mention for the Midgi, for the AD 8.18 cask 1060, unpeated Spanish Oloroso casks for the Good Spirits Company, 88 out of 100. Bronze medal for the AD 10. Should I not give you the score yet, right? Yeah, later on. I gave a medal to Paul Launois Release in several categories, favorite whiskies of the year. So I'm not the only one praising Ardnamurchan. You know that if you follow the Oswalds, for instance. You taste, you judge. Anyways, okay, let's get to it now, to the tasting. And I did prepare this tasting other whiskies yesterday because I was fascinated by a comparison with a big distillery, which the AD10 makes me think about. But we're on there, so you see you got a QR code if you want to know more about it. I let it for a second. Right, you can pause the video as well. So is the AD10. I know and I agree that it is difficult to take pictures with that glossy bronze letters. It's not the best idea. It's beautiful, but it's not the best idea to have, because I have to go slow to let you Champagne, Paul Launois barrique. To be honest, I'm not the only one to struggle to find decent information about Paul Launois Champagne. As a French, I don't know all the champagne producers by heart. There are thousands, hundreds, I don't know. If it's like cognac, there are 500 plus. So I never heard of Paul Launois. I don't know if it's good, if it's interesting, but I don't see Alex, Antonia, Colonel Mackenzie and other people from the distillery pick the worst French champagne cask, honestly, so I trust them. There's no official books now. I'm not going to go on the rant about books. I strongly disagree with Ralphie and other people about that, because I have my own reasons here. So I did made up a box for this, for which I added, there's not much information online first, but I explained, and I did official notes and official information there. So basically for this one I can tell you it's first fill bourbon barrels, unpeated, for around 10 years, and for half of the batch, so it's a different recipe than for Paul Launois. Half of the batch has been transferred in Paul Launois Champagne barriques, and that gives 15,000 bottles, of course non-chill filter, non-colored, distilled in 2014. Yeah, over 1 year they say. Okay, but I like those boxes. Anyway, so I told you about the price, about 75 quids, that you say, 75, 85, so quite reasonable. The difference, it's why I'm starting with that, between the this one and the Paul Launois. The Paul Launois was all the 12 barrels were transferred into Paul Launois the bourbon, ex-Bourbon liquid was transferred in Paul Launois barriques, plus they added a bourbon cask, but I'm going to tell you that again. So it's the main difference, and also the ABV. ABV is 57.3 for the Paul Launois, this one is 50. Okay, got the 10 years old on the nose. So there's some Highland character, that's also why I have this bottle on the table. Clynelish, when it's unpeated, makes me think of Clynelish a lot, Ardnamurchan, but not only. Oh, and I forgot to put another bottle on the table. I've always forgot something. But the tasting, it was not relevant. I have a Clynelish 14 years old that I thought would be close to the Paul Launois at least, but no, because it's more sherried. So it didn't work, so I put on the oh yeah, this is closer. Okay. So of course viscosity at the highest, so I'm not going to be long on that. Non-chill filtered, and the age and decent ABV makes the sticky legs like that. So on the nose it's quite still tight. There's probably 8 centiliters left, but you're gonna see reviews, by the way, of the Paul Launois and this one from Mano as well, as we exchange a lot of samples lately. Yeah, so there's this very tiny white grape note, because the oak is quite present there, not as much as I heard from other reviewers, but some other reviewers, but still it's present. There's things I noted that close to the Paul Launois, which is candied citrus fruit, and some cedra, I don't remember the English name now, honey, vanilla, apricot. There's some green elements and a bit of the Chardonnay, that's more greener than I thought. There might be some there are oak tannins. I wanted to speak about tannins for a second. There's oak tannins tannins coming from the wood, from the oak, and there's also sometimes, not here, but I don't know, wine tannins coming from the wine. So it's a complex question. You can get both the double influence in your casks, in your final product, because of those two elements. But usually, no, I don't have time for that. Shall do an entire episode about cask, right? Okay, so nice, but there's something close there, tight, too tight maybe for some people. While if I go to the Paul Launois on the nose, but I'll go back to it, there's something way more open, and the ABV doesn't come across as high as it is, while I could say the 10 years old is a 60% ABV. No, this one comes across at 50, while it's 57.3. Gorgeous. Yeah, for those who follow my channel closely with the awards, they already know which one I prefer from the AD10 and the Launois. I forgot to say, but I will say that later when I will review the Launois. Okay, on the palate now, Slanjava. Quite pleasant, quite nice, but quite. There's a strong tannic element there, which prevent me for going higher on the rating. But I like it, still like it. So there is this, let me check a second. So there is this strong oak element that I understand can put some people off. I would not say though that it's unbalanced. It's difficult for me to say that, but it's on the edge, on the verge of being. Yeah, I'm looking for cedra, which is a kind of lemon. Cedra en anglais, in English. Yeah. Citron. I don't understand why it's citron, because in French, if you say citron, it can mean 400 varieties of lemon. But anyway, citron. So there's citron, there's apricot, there's almonds. No, it was on the palate, sorry. Yeah, it's a dry profile with a dry finish, dry and spicy. More spicy than the Paul Launois, I can tell you that already. That said, it has some of the very charming or sexy vanilla and lemon sherbet note that the Paul Launois has, but it's down-tuned there. It's downed in the impression. You still have a hint of honey, slightly herbal, the spice, the ginger, mainly spice. I'm gonna open it, and then I'm gonna move on to the Paul Launois, because I've taken too much time again. But you know me, you're here for that. Sugar powder, also I forgot. Millefeuille topping, 1,000 leaves pastry. If you follow my channel, you know what it is now. You've seen a picture and explanation. Yeah, it's kind of gentler with water, but don't add too much. It doesn't work if you add too much. I'm gonna compare it to, now before I move to the Paul Launois, to the Clynelish 14, because I think they have something in common. Clynelish 14 at 43%, official, colored, chill filtered, it doesn't say. So this one, that's an old bottle, but I have two other bottles to compare, but it's more interesting to compare the Paul Launois with the other bottles on the table. We can see it's more processed and sanitized, like Ralphie would say, than the AD, but there's something waxy, honeyed, richer in a way, but it's restrained too. So the two are a bit frustrating, I have to say, even if the Clynelish is now suffers from being open for a long time and not sampled. I have another bottle, of course, in advance. But yes, so for me this AD10 hasn't given yet his maximum, or doesn't necessarily deliver the best now. I've rated it generously an 89 with an 89, but I think it should be probably less. So it could. I don't want to change the rating now in public because I have to spend more time with it. But somewhere it has to fall down to 88 or a bit less. The Miji was rated 87.5 because it was a bit too all over the place for me, profile wise, too much different casks. This one it's the tannic side that restrains the other notes, but it's still beautiful, but I prefer it neat. So this is for the but that said, it still had a bronze medal in favorite whiskey of the year, honorable, not a bronze medal also for favorite Scotch distillery of the year. So still some medals, but I can tell you already that the Paul Launois won the most medals among all the AD release, the Ardnamurchan releases of last year. So here it is now, bit darker color. 18 months of influence of champagne cask, and 12 bourbon barrels first. Unpeated from 2017, so it's a 7 years old. It's not a 10 years old, contrarily to the 8010, and 18 months in Paul Launois barrique. And they added at the end a bourbon barrel to the blending mix. This one has a way less outturn with 3,189 98 bottles, so almost 3,200 bottles. It's the fourth release of Paul Launois release with this kind of recipe. As I understand it, Antonia told me it's the longest period of further aging in champagne among the previous editions, and it's 57.3. Again, I did cannibalize a box of something else to do this with a bottling date, so 8 April of 2024. I was also did this, which I find funny to have a color chart, which is a bit different. You can see also it on top. I've taken pictures from the site. And most importantly, there, I like this because I can, you can get all the information you want there now. I think it's nice. So you can see who bottled it. I didn't add the 3 names, the Kelly Combe, Concerto Barley. Yeah, I have to read that for people who are listening in podcast. Hey Matt, by the way, from Whisky on the West Coast. You're targeted friendly for that. So yeah, Broomhall Farm, Brucefield, field name Brucefield, Anchor and Ferment is the 2 yeast types. Nikid or her tea is doing the mash and fermenting over 76 hours. It's an average. I'm a bit disappointed they don't give the precise fermentation time for each expression. They always give you when you use the QR code this 76 hours. Wash stills, as you can see, it's the same info, almost the same info as always. So the cask recipe I told you already, and I don't want to read the official notes, not to influence you and me. So there you have it. Again, you have the QR code here if you want to have a look. Imported by Société Dugas in Paris. Glad they imported this, or when I will them. Kidding, of course. So this is the 10 years old, and as you can see, what is left of it, it's dark, 2 tones darker, the Paul Launois. Let's get on to the nose now. Of the yeah, the bottle is quite down because I like it, but also because I did a big sample. I give a big sample to Menno to properly assess it, and to other people. I was maybe too generous, so I've booked another bottle. I hope it's still for me somewhere. Oh, I mean, this one is something else. Truly, the oak is very low. 3 years of difference of aging doesn't explain all, I think. I don't know. Maybe because they kept half of the cask for the 10 years old, and then all the casks have been re-racked. I don't know. I'm not sure it's only that. Those 3 years. There's very beautiful white grape note in there. The Chardonnay, it's what I was going to say earlier on, is playing a big fiddle role here, if I may say. Big time, as they say in US, big time Chardonnay note, they would say. The tannins are melted together beautifully. Even on the nose, it's super balanced, doesn't come across as 57, maybe for 43, 46% only. There's something almost resinous, the vanilla, there's something green. There's wine leaves that you use to do go too far in personal things, food things. There's something of the wine grapes foils leaves used for the dolmadakia food, Greek food. Forget it. So yeah, the beautiful nose. I mean, the rating is very high there. Let's see the palate. Absolutely gorgeous mix of white grape, almond sugar, almost almond paste, but light almond paste, so it's not much of sugar. There's some honey, acacia and other flowers, trees, honey. There's different kinds of again, there's the citron, the cèdre in French, and other candied lemons. There's almost some lemon sherbet with we're bordering Brora here at some point. Also, it was a more more flavorful at the beginning, but there's something. There's glaze sugar. There's something like ice cream that it's not rhum raisin, as we say here, rum and raisins, but it's whiskey and raisins, something like that. Improbable ice cream. It's unpeated again. There's some sweet spices. It's slightly herbal. There's something like white chocolate with a coconut tablet. I really like that. I'm gonna open it just a bit for the comparison's sake with other whiskies. It's the main vedette in French. The main star here of the review is, of course, this one. Again, this terrific alliance between white grape Chardonnay, but very discreet, with vanilla, with honey, with all kind of lemon citrus, and this very pastry-like note topping all that. So I've poured earlier on some Clynelish, but I am not sure it's the most relevant comparison. When I first posted something on Instagram about the uncorking of this, I thought I spoke about unspicy Clynelish. I still think it's close to. Yeah, but the herbal, spicy, dry side of Clynelish is not there in that, not so much in that Ardnamurchan. Now we're going to move on to this distillery I like a lot. Compare it to this Breval, 12 years old. You have almost, I think, the information's there. Forgot to give you the rate. C, you have so it's 1998, 2010. The indie bottler is complex here because it says the House of Macduff, but the range is the Golden Cask, but the brand is John McDougall. So I'm not 100% sure. Then if you see the information's online, it's a homemade also tube. It says Kintra Spirits in Netherlands, so I'm not 100% sure what's the name of the indie bottler there, but more likely to be the House of Macduff under the distribution of Kintra Spirits. I'm not sure. Anyways, I have what do I have else? I have another whiskey in that range. This is a gorgeous one. I think it doesn't disclose the barrel, but I think it's a bourbon. Yeah, I forgot to say it's a 56.2. So very balanced. I don't have a backup but reserve bottle, too bad. So Breville is Breath of Glenlivet, a Speyside distillery. It has changed name. You don't see a lot, unfortunately, of official releases, or they're quite old and expensive. Still colored, I'm afraid. Kind of close, kind of different. In common, the beautiful association of herbal, slightly spicy vanilla notes. So the bourbon background. On difference, this one is more precise and more tight on the kind of vanilla driven oranges, apples, lemons. But there's a familiarity, a vicinity there that I thought could be interesting. Not gonna retry this beautiful Clynelish 54% ABV. I think it's a refill sherry or hogshead, but refill sherry cask, all in the cask strength range. 2016, 2001, 2016. Beautiful, 15 years old. Already talked about it. Maybe not a full review. There's something different coming from the sherry that, but it's not so far. Instead, I'm gonna surprise you, but with something that's not so far, and that is French. I cover in another video with the 3 bottles I have from them. It's first matures in ex-refill wine cask and then in Gewürztraminer. So white grape as well, but more on the sweet wine style. 61% ABV. It's not so far. It's 6 years old. This one has more candied fruit and dessert topping, icing sugar topping than the Paul Launois has. It still has, but this one has more. Maybe a bit less complex, but this is intense and beautiful. Wow. There's more some sour wine grape note in there than there is in the Launois. But let's say there's 40%, 50% instead of 20, 30 for the others of similarity. So we're getting on the halfway of the Paul Launois. Gonna finish under the 50 minutes. Very quickly again, the last sip of the Launois, which for me gets a 91.5. Absolutely gorgeous whiskey. Get it or try it. For me, in my awards, it was a gold medal in favorite Scotch distillery single malt of the year. And I think it won, if I'm not mistaken. No, the Springbank 12 cask strength is a bit higher ranked. And favorite whiskies of the year 2024, gold medal, just under the Springbank again. So very high praise for me for this absolute star. Yeah, very different from usual Ardnamurchan, but if you're open-minded, if you like your Highland whiskies, I mean, you have to try this. Period. Thank you.